Hi everybody, and welcome back to my mini homestead, and this is part 2 of preserving our cherries. So we're going to head into the kitchen, and today is cherry juice, cherry jelly, and some whole cherries done in the dehydrator, as well as we're going to freeze some more cherries. Alright, let's get to the intro and get to preserving. So here are our dehydrated cherries, and they look really good. And I have to tell you, they taste really good too. There's just a little bit of chew to them. So what I ended up doing is I did this at 65 degrees Celsius, and I did it for 10 hours. And I think that's perfect. Now I'm going to do whole ones. I'm thinking those ones will have to go quite a bit longer, but these are going to be great for baking. The whole ones will be for snacking. So I just got to get these into bags. I need to get that stand for bags because it sure will make life a whole lot easier. So I think I'm probably going to order one of those today, and it should be here in a few days. And yeah, because I mean we freeze all sorts of stuff, and it would definitely make it easier. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll do 2 bags, and we are going to do a bunch more today too. Don't know if I got this bag the right way or not, so let's just get it filled up. Okay, that's pretty even, so I'll get those 2 in the freezer, and I'm going to start washing and pitting cherries. So before we get to washing, I've got frozen cherries. So what we did end up doing, so there was more airflow, is put some lids down in between, and now I need to get these bagged up and back into the freezer. They're so good. So I'm just lifting the parchment paper to sort of break them up, and then get them into bags. The nice thing about this is, I think this is about as close as to fresh you can get, is by freezing them. Now, I would love to get a freeze dryer, but that's going to have to wait. They're not cheap. I'd be using a freeze dryer right now for a lot of things. All right, I'm gonna get these all bagged up, and we'll see how many bags that we have when I get all done. There we have it. We've got 9 bags of frozen cherries so far. I haven't done them big bags because that's, you know, to pull them out for make something. I think that's a good size, but definitely gonna cut some in half and freeze them like that as well. So if you missed my first video on preserving, what I'm doing is I'm using this cherry pitter, and this is a star frit, so you can get a pretty little cherry on there. It does 6 at a time, and all I do is I take 6 cherries. I make sure it's stem side up. No sense creating more holes. And you pop them in there. And it's got nice long posts on it. So down it goes. And you can see I checked to see if I got cherry pits. That one's got a cherry pit. Otherwise they drop in here. And I just check too if there's bits of beets and throw them in there. This doesn't always go up, but I just pull that off and then pull the cherries out. And into the bowl they go. So I'm just going to continue this, and once I have this all done, I'll show you what we're doing next. Okay, so I think I have enough pitted. I'm going to do up a tray for the dehydrator and see how they turn out when they're whole cherries. All right, let's get the cherries into the dehydrator. Take that tray out. Ah! Just gonna separate them. Oh, my nice neat work. Not so neat now. Okay, so that's gone in. Let's see if I can get this one in here without beating it up. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to close that up. Let's start it. Press set. We're going to take it down to 65. Set it, takes it over to our time, and we're going to increase that to 12 hours. Now when I did the halves, I did it for 10 hours, and they came out perfect. So we'll see what this is like after 12 hours. Since they're whole cherries, I may have to do it a bit longer. I'm going to get back to pitting more cherries. So Mom's gonna take the cherries and put them into the juicer, and we're just gonna fill it up. So I got lots more to do, but I wanted to get them out of the way. And there they go. Oh, we're not gonna need that much more, are we?
Nope.
Okay, so back to pinning. Okay, so I've got another bowl full. Oh, look at those fingernails. I'm so purple. Just gonna throw these into the steamer, fill it up. Whoa! Missy's gonna get a cherry again. Harder when you're doing things one-handed. All right, so that looks like it's ready to go. So this is what the cherries look like after a couple of hours or more in the steamer. They're starting to shrink down. You can see how far they've gone down. And they're a lot lighter in color because the juice is being steamed out of them. Okay, the lid's gonna go back on, and we'll keep cooking them. Okay, so Mom's gonna start filling jars for juice. And like when this juice comes out of the steamer, it is crazy hot. So just a disclaimer, we're not teaching you how to do canning. Make sure you check with the FDA, follow their instructions for canning. This is what we do. It's crazy hot. We put it on the shelf and let it seal. So Mom just told me something new that I didn't know. This actually has a name, and it's called open kettle canning. So with other stuff, you put it into a warm bath, it heats it up, where this stuff is coming out of the kettle already hot, and it seals pretty fast. Okay, so we got the 5 cups of cherry juice.
Yes.
And what are you going to do next?
Put it in the pot. And to that we add the syrup. Stir that in. And the heat on it. We'll bring that to a high boil, and then you add the sugar.
Okay, so after it comes to a high boil, the sugar goes in and some lemon juice. Oh, the lemon juice is just the final touch it all needs. Okay, so we'll get this to a boil and then show the next step. So Mom's got it all set up for when the jelly starts, or the cherry juice starts to boil. We got the, was it 3 cups of sugar?
No, that's 4. I just over 3.5.
So just
Calls for 7, and I cut it in half.
okay, so calls for 7 cups of sugar, but Mom cuts it in half. So we got 3.5 cups of sugar in there. Jars are ready, lids. Lids are boiling. We've got the lemon juice ready, and then also a cloth to wash off the jars. Now, with the sort of recipe that Mom's using, she's actually using it for grape because there's nothing that says cherry jelly. So she's just using the recipe for grape jelly.
Because it takes so much sugar, I cut it in half, and once the sugar is in it and the lemon juice, I let it boil for 5 minutes and then put it in the jars.
So our jelly is starting to boil. It's got just a slow roll happening there.
Now I'm going to add the lemon juice.
Okay, so lemon juice is going in.
Bring it back to a rolling boil.
And Mom's bringing it back to a rolling boil. I don't know if you heard her or not. So, because the lemon juice is out of the fridge, so it's cool, so it could cool it down.
It's good.
And how long do you boil it for now or cook it for now?
5 minutes.
Okay. Mom's just checking if this needs more water. And you're pretty good in there still.
Oh,
You need some more water?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, gonna add more water. So Mom says to keep the water level to about 3/4 of an inch down from the top.
You don't want to boil it over.
Oh, so just so it doesn't boil over, but you also don't want it to boil itself dry. That's really important. There it is, good to go again. So how many times have you had to add water to it so far?
I think that's the 3rd time.
So the 3rd time since it started. So since we put new water in, we've turned the temperature back up to 8, and then once it comes to a boil, we'll turn it down to 6 just to keep it at a low boil. And we're just gonna steam more juice out of these cherries and go from there. So the cherry jelly has been boiling for about 3 minutes, got a couple more minutes to go. So at this stage, you're supposed to take it off the stove. And what does the recipe tell you to do, Mom?
Let it sit for 5 minutes and skim the foam off of it.
And what is it you do?
I add a teaspoon of margarine to it or butter, and it cuts the foam down. So you don't waste your jelly.
Do you still have to wait the 5 minutes then, or you just wait till the foam's gone?
Oh, you wait until it's pretty well gone, and then remove it.
So how'd you learn this trick?
My mother.
Ah, Grandma taught you, hey? So it's a whole family secret recipe.
Look at that difference, how little.
Oh yeah. So I know it may look like in the video that there's a lot of foam there, but it's just a really light skim over top of it now, where before it was quite thick, the foam. Look how much that's just cleared up. There's hardly any foam left in it now. Look at that. So Mom says it's ready to actually go in the jar. It doesn't need to be skimmed because there's so little of it. So, jar time. And there's our first jar. of jelly. So we'll get about 6 Mom thinks from this. So let's see what we get. So this here is a perfect measuring cup for doing this. It's got the kind of handle that will hook right over the pot. So you're not getting everything all messed up and dirty. And that's another jar done. So Mom's got 5 of the larger jam jars and then 2 smaller jam jars. So that's great. And we'll see how much more juice we get out of those cherries. So there's the little leftover part of the jelly, and tonight we're having peaches and Dairy Queen ice cream, and we'll pour some of this jelly over top. It'll be good.
I just can't believe how much juice these cherries had. Unbelievable, all that juice and jelly.
And we got more to go, and I'm off to pitting. So right now we got them covered up because there was a few that didn't seal. So what Mom does if they don't seal right away, she just flips them upside down and finds that seals them. So you let them sit on the cupboard for 15 minutes, and if they haven't sealed in that time, she flips them upside down. Now I didn't catch it on film, but she said one of them that she flipped up had some air bubbles in it, so she knew that one wasn't going to seal. So it's been a couple busy days of preserving cherries, and one of our favorite meals is ice cream with peaches and usually blueberry sauce. But this time we're going to put cherry jelly over the top. Doesn't that look amazing? And yes, this is our supper. It is fruit and dairy. I think we've covered some of the food groups. All right, time to eat it. So this is one of those instances. Oh, we've finished supper. It was very, very tasty. And this is one of those instances where you learn from my mistakes. So I had noticed there was a lock on the back here, a switch. And I had thought it was to actually lock this container down. Oops, I already jabbed this cherry. Let's put it back. So I got curious and I tried it out. So I unhooked it. And what do you know? This thing here, let's turn it at an angle. You can see that there sticking out. So now what happens is when you push down, all your cherries stay in place. So this thing pushes them down. So you can just check them, make sure that you don't have any pits in there. No pits. No pits. And lock and load it again. So just gonna put my cherries back in there. Man, this thing is good. I just ordered. Couldn't find any in town, so I had to go on Amazon and I ordered. So again, pop it down. It pushes those cherries off of those pegs. See how it moves? So it pushes those cherries off the pegs, and it works good. So there's a pit. So I just click that off. Whoops. Got runaway cherries. All right. One of those instances where once again you can learn from my mistakes. I am on my last 6 cherries, so that I will be done pitting cherries for another season. And there we are. The last 6 are done. Oops, there's pit. Now I have to cut all these in half and get them in the freezer. So Mom's working on the last of the cherry juice, but I also thought I would show you what our dehydrated cherries are looking like. So they have got quite a bit smaller, and there's still a bit more give to them. So I've got them set for another 2 hours. We may need to increase that a bit, but we'll check back on them. So what time is it? It's 6:50 now in the evening, and we started about 8 o'clock this morning, and this is the end of day 2. So it's been a very busy day, very productive day, other than heading into Penticton to pick up tile, because we're going to tile our fireplace. And we went out for Indian food. That was very good. So we also have leftovers, so we have lunch for tomorrow. So yeah, it's been a very full day. I figure by the time we finish, because we're still waiting for juice, it's probably going to be about a 12-hour day, other than taking off lunch and eating our peaches and ice cream with cherry jelly. So I'm just gonna get these all sliced up, get them on a tray, get them in the freezer, and then we'll bag them up. So here's all the cherries that were left over from our first batch in the juicer. And I mean, these are still tasty. You know what they'd be really good in? In puff pastry. Really good. So Mom's just bagging them up, putting in what we think we would need for a recipe. We're not freezing these separate like we are with the fresh cherries, but normally you would just throw your cherries with the pits into the steamer and then squash them down, whatever, but you have the pits left over, so you're not able to use your leftover cherries. And these taste really good. So yes, it took a bit more time to pit all the cherries, but then you're not throwing this out, you get to use it. So waste not, want not.
I think, Sandy, what we should do is take and make a real nice filling to put in muffins or cupcakes. They would just be so good.
You know, that would be really, really good. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Who knows what we're going to come up with that we can use all of this for, but I think that's a great idea. So that is the last of the cherries sliced up. We're just going to pull some of them out of here so we can make a couple pies. And let me show you what we have in the freezer. So there's our cherries all stacked up in the freezer, and we'll have one more pan to put on top of whatever we have left that's not going in the pies. So preserving's not quite over. We have tomorrow morning. So here are the whole cherries, or what's left of them. I think I've already eaten half of them. They are so good. I like them way more than the half slice. But like, these are perfect for munching on. They are so good. I think we ended up about 14 hours, but I ended up going to bed. So it's 14 hours for sure, 14 plus hours. And again, this is going to depend on the size of your cherries. But this is the last of our preserving. Other than we're going to make a couple cherry pies from the cherries we kept. So we're going to get those done. So that's it for preserving cherries. Okay, so that's it. We finished with our cherry preserves for this year. Mom and I are still going to make a couple cherry pies, and I think we're going to try making those cupcakes. And I'm thinking Black Forest could be really good, so chocolate cupcakes. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure and subscribe. Take care, everybody. Bye.